His reviews will get you further than the film will ever go. If you give him just a moment of your time, he'll let you know which movies rock, which movies stink, which movies shouldn't have been released. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
Truth be told, I have only ever been a casual fan of the Alien franchise. I saw the first Alien film once and wasn't blown away by it. I've seen Aliens a bajillion times and loved it. All the other films were garbage, and by the time they started making the Aliens and Predators fight stupidly, that was about it for me. However, what we have here is an exceptional action and entertainment film that has a bit of heart and a lot of aliens. Alien by Ridley Scott was released in 1979, and it was a modest hit. It wasn't a blockbuster, it did very well, but the concept of Alien didn't really work its way into the heart of pop culture until James Cameron got a hold of it. The Ridley Scott film, written by Dan O'Bannon, was basically just your standard horror film in outer space. They got a little creative with the alien species and how they work, but it wasn't much more than just a horror film in outer space. Roger Ebert was quite correct when he said that it was basically just an intergalactic haunted house thriller set inside a spaceship. However, James Cameron had massive imagination stimulation when watching the first Alien. He loved this film and he wanted to do his own take on it. So 7 years after the first Alien's modest success, when everyone had just started to forget about it, Cameron went all out on the project, even before it was submitted for greenlighting. He actually went so far as to seclude himself for days on end. He didn't see anyone. He just sat down and started writing and outlining. And after a few days of this, he actually had a bit more than half of a finished script that he could submit to the studio. The studio took a look at it and said, Alien? Which one was that again? Oh yeah, it was that film we made years ago that did kinda well. I forgot about that. Why would you want to do a sequel to that? There's no money in this. People have moved on. However, after reading the unfinished script, they were very impressed and made a deal with Cameron that if Terminator, which was about to be released, was a big hit at the box office, they'd give him a chance to turn Alien into a franchise. Terminator was a box office smash, and the rest is history. James Cameron's take on this film was very different from Scott and O'Bannon's take on theirs. Again, Alien was basically just transplanting a monster in a haunted house to a creature in a spaceship. But it's basically the same thing. You've got one alien running around in there, lurking in the shadows, picking people off, and going boo. But when Cameron released his film, he basically said to audiences, this ain't no haunted house in space. This is a war. We've got commandos. We've got tons of aliens running around this time. It all made for a more exciting, more fully realized film that is still a favorite of mine to this day. Now, Cameron's Terminator 2 was very creative. It played with a lot of paradoxes and really made you think about time travel and philosophical issues. However, Aliens didn't really go that route. The plot for Aliens is actually very simple. Commandos land on a rock where aliens are tearing the place up, they shoot at them while trying to leave the rock without dying, and that's really all this movie is. But you know what? That's a lot of fun. It gets a little more complicated than that as we go along, however. Communications have been lost on a colony, and a businessman named Burke wants Ripley to accompany a group of soldiers to investigate. But it turns out that the colony was deliberately put in danger by Burke himself, because he wanted to smuggle an alien embryo back to Earth in a human host, that way no one would be able to detect it. It was a really great twist. You know, when alien attacks happen by accident because you didn't know they were there until it was too late, it's pretty interesting. But as soon as you realize that this was all done on purpose and for no other reason than for money, it just brings your blood to a boil. And Paul Reiser plays this very well. He is your typical sleazy businessman. He's not just playing a stereotype here. You absolutely believe he is this character. I have actually met people like this before in my real life, and this performance was very effective. You just want to reach through all of his everyman pretense and wring his scrawny little neck. Unfortunately, the soldier characters are not as good. They're not bad, but they're definitely stereotypes. They all say Marine things and don't really do or say anything unexpected. Bill Paxton is great, however, as the doom and gloom naysayer who always seems to have something to complain about. And Lance Henriksen is downright amazing as Bishop, a cool and collected android who is miles away from human. Even before it's revealed that he is an artificial life form, something just seems alien about him. Truly an amazing performance. Still, there isn't much to care about with regard to the soldiers. They're basically just cannon fodder for the aliens, and that's fine. It just becomes routine as you get further into the story. The plot surrounding this group is more or less pretty straightforward. They all get trapped on this settlement overrun with aliens, and basically they just have to stay alive until help arrives. Now, at first you might be thinking, how is this going to be scary? This isn't a group of scientists who get caught unawares by the aliens. These guys know they're there, and they are armed to the teeth. But ultimately, this is precisely what makes this scary. These are the toughest soldiers in the universe. These people came prepared, and they still got their asses kicked. However, these soldiers are fighting a war that they signed up for in the first place, and in an action film like this, you can only care so much about that. But the good news is, you absolutely can care about the relationship between Ripley and Newt. This ultimately becomes the heart and soul of the film. Newt was found with her entire family killed, and she has survived here completely on her own, so Ripley naturally takes on the role of her surrogate mother. We spend a bit of time watching these two bond. After all, they both have very similar histories. They have both had to survive in the face of the aliens. Both of them understand the fear of this situation. Newt lost her entire family directly by the aliens, and Ripley's daughter is dead as well, so these two become a perfect match for each other as a mother and daughter dynamic. Once we reach the climax and Newt is put in danger, we are completely invested in Ripley saving this girl. This is no longer they live, they die, whatever. We want that girl to fucking live. More than that, we want Ripley to save her. We want her to charge in there and kick the aliens' asses for even thinking about putting their hands on this girl. So when that actually happens, it is fulfilling in a way that I have rarely seen. The setup was so subtle and so good, it makes the payoff incredible. I have seen a lot of action films, and a lot of them have some great conclusions, but somehow, for some reason, I don't think I have ever seen a scene as satisfying as this.
Get away from her, you bitch!
The alien queen is one of the best creatures I have ever seen. The very design plays on our most primal fears. It's insect-like, it's huge, and it's calculating in an instinctive, mindless sort of way. Even with a gun, you just want to get away from this thing. You don't want it anywhere near you. One of the best space monsters ever designed, in my opinion. Aliens isn't the greatest film ever made. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but for what it is, it achieves near perfection. Maybe the greatest action film ever made. I don't know, I think it's between this and Die Hard. But whatever the case, it is an amazing film that I enjoy to this day.